We have more potholes than you do bullet holes at a shooting range, and it don't seem to bother our elected officials.
Evelyn Smith is one of a half dozen District 4 residents gathered at Malcolm X Library. Aurora Valdez says the poor streets keep her from getting to class at San Diego State.
I don't have a car right now. It broke down. I'm sure the streets didn't help, but it broke down. And I've been taking the bus, and because of the construction, because of the closed-off streets, sometimes the bus does not come.
Valdez says she has to use scarce food money for Ubers. Rob Campbell says the poor pavement is dangerous.
Everywhere we go, if you try to walk, a sidewalk just suddenly ends and you're dumped into a street. And the street is in such poor shape, kids can't ride their bikes. I can't push a stroller with a kid because the stroller wheels get stuck.
It's dangerous not just for children, but for the neighborhood's many elders and people who use mobility devices, says Andrea Heteru.
Yeah, I saw a friend of my daughter's trip over, his wheelchair tipped over on Manzanares, hitting potholes. Actually, I've seen it a couple times.
They report issues through the Get It Done app, as the city encourages, but rarely get a response. And when they do, it's disappointing.
Si hay 5 baches, solamente reparan 2 y dejan 3.
Zamudio says they repair 2 potholes and leave 3 on the same street. Or they close off the streets for a long time, and when they reopen, it seems to be worse.
Right in front of Encanto Elementary, they closed that off, and now there's a huge dip in the road, and cars go on the other side of the street to go around it. This is all day. Everyone's doing it.
Fixing roads is expensive. The worse they are, the more it costs, exponentially. The city's recently released pavement management plan advocates a, quote, best value approach, stretching budget dollars the farthest by improving the streets that aren't as bad. It would get the city's streets to, quote, satisfactory condition overall, but it leaves District 4 behind. It spends the least there, $144 million over 10 years, and the most, almost double that, in wealthier District 5, which currently has the best street conditions. In response to questions, the city said the Streets Division worked with the Department of Race and Equity and factored equity into the scoring.
Now, they've included equity as part of the formula, but somehow, the way the numbers shake out, we always end up at the bottom.
The formula also gives weight to roads that are used more. But Heteru says their roads are used less because the city has underdeveloped their district.
And to me, it's the same game that they've been playing for ever. In one era, it was called desegregation. In another era, it was called affirmative action. Then it became diversity and inclusion. Then it became equity. It's just talk.
District 4, with a high concentration of low incomes and Black and Latino residents, was one of the worst hit by recent floods. The water rose in minutes. But residents say the problem grew from decades of underservice by the city.
It just feels like we're always waiting. And if it's not going to come, then just stop talking about it and just say that you just have, a concentration of poverty, and that's where you put everybody, and then a few people will be able to get out, and that's how the world works. But that's not how I see it. I love this community. When I get off the 805, I always feel like I'm home, that this is home for me.
Young says she doesn't have another 60 years to wait for equity. Katie Hyson, KPBS News.